folks. Welcome into the News 12 Now Desk. Thanks for joining us. I am joined here by Mr. Herb Upton, who served under President Carter for a few months back when he took the Oval Office back in the 70s. And so, Herb, thank you for joining us here today. And just first off, how did you get involved with President Carter and getting up there to Washington?
I had a call from a good friend of mine, probably one of my best friends in life, Hugh Carter, who was a cousin of the president's. And he was up during the transition, and they needed some extra help. So he wanted to get somebody that was a businessman to help him. Sonny, as he was called, Hugh, was a MBA graduate from Wharton and an executive with Harlan check printing company. And President Carter brought his cousin up to the White House to be the special assistant for administration, all of the administrative help to the president. So he asked me to come up there, and he wanted me to do it full time, just leave my current profession, which was with Procter & Gamble, and go up to the White House. I didn't want to do that, but I said I'd come up and help for a while. So I took a leave of absence from Procter & Gamble and went up and served as Hugh's deputy. It's a deputy special assistant, and one of the areas that I mostly covered, was military support to the president, the White House military office and so on. Included Air Force One, Camp David, presidential yacht, anything military related, the communications that the Army provided the White House, and all the traveling trips that the president would take. Mm-hmm. And our mission was cost cutting. And that was something that the president was big on, as he was when he was governor of Georgia. We wanted to get rid of things that were not needed and have somebody take a look at it, say, how can we do this better? How can we do this cheaper? So kind of acting like a hatchet man. That was what my role was. I was up there for about 6 months. Started in March of '77, right after the transition, and then continued to about September.
Okay. So what was it like the first time you met President Carter? What was that interaction like?
He's a very warm person, looks you right in the eye. When he's talking to a group, he's that way too. You think he's looking just at you, not everybody in the room, but he just kind of had that ability to do that and to engage with people. And to this day, he's still that same way.
Yeah. How often did you talk to the president after you had come back, or did you guys still maintain a relationship?
Yeah, I'd see him from time to time. We were members of the Carter Center, the ambassadors circle for the Carter Center, so we'd see him from time to time at those functions. And then when Hugh's daughters got married, the president was usually there, and of course I was there too, so we'd get a chance to have some interaction.
Yeah. So you got such a unique perspective on Jimmy Carter. You know, most of us know him as the politician, or through his work with Habitat for Humanity or any of his other service work, but you kind of got a unique perspective into the personal side of Jimmy Carter. What's he like behind the scenes, just some guy that you're chatting with back and forth?
Well, like I say, he's really able to engage, and in back of all of that, his mind is as sharp as anything, still is today, and his mind like a steel trap. A lot of attention to detail, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. When was the last time you had talked with the president?
I guess it's been about 3 or 4 years.
And what was that last conversation like that you had with him?
Just kind of reminiscing about the days.
Yeah. Is there a particular story that when you think of Jimmy Carter or your time serving under him that really sticks out, or maybe a couple that you always go back to?
Well, there were a couple, but one that kind of comes to mind was when we were looking at the White House emergency plan, is what to do if something hits the wall, mm-hmm. and what happens to the president and vice president. It was an interesting meeting with the President Fritz Mondale, Zbigniew Brzezinski, talking those kinds of things, mm-hmm. which are confidential,
yeah.
top secret, whatever.
Things we can't share up on here.
Right.
We always hear this word with Jimmy Carter is legacy, and the legacy that he leaves behind. it's kind of hard to put into words just because of his entire body of work is so impressive. But what is that legacy that he leaves behind?
Well, I think they broke the mold with him as far as the president is concerned, of having somebody that is honest and straightforward and cares deeply about the country and about people, all people. I think that's really his main legacy.
Yeah, and that we saw that so much in his post-political work with all the humanitarian stuff that he did. Would you say that was when he was at his best, when he was able to really get out there and just help people and not worry about the political side of it, just be a person-to-person kind of guy?
Yeah, absolutely. And he demonstrated that. Again, they broke the mold with him as far as what a past president ought to be doing with their time, and with all the valuable contacts they have and the things that they can accomplish. And he's certainly done that.
Yeah. If you had one more conversation with him, what would you tell him?
I'd thank him for the example that he set and hope that more people would follow that example.
Yeah. Yeah, and certainly, like we talk about, like I said, the legacy's so strong, and that's really what we've always heard from people time and time again is he set such a good example, and now it's on the people that he impacted to turn around now and use that example to impact others. And throughout this whole thing, you know, I wasn't around when he was a politician. It was a little before my time, but just learning about all that, that really seems to be the legacy he's left, is this setting a good example, attention to detail, caring about others, and just wanting to serve people.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say about President Carter or your time with him or who he was or the legacy he leaves, or do you think we've covered everything?
I think pretty well covered it.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Herb, we appreciate your time and your insight into President Jimmy Carter and, you know, 98 years of service and again, legacy that he has passed on to millions of people that he's impacted. So again, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.